Hello, my name is Lowe and I'm the founder of Judo, which is a judo and personal safety business, and it's been running since the year 2000. I've been approached by Kiana James, who's an ambassador for Respect Yourself charity, for my thoughts, and it was around a question about bullying. So the question itself is, what would you do if you were being bullied, and how would you stand your ground without putting yourself at risk? I mean, that's quite an interesting question. I mean, for me, being in the state that I am, I would try not to put myself in a situation of potentially being bullied in the first place. That's quite difficult. It has to be quite courageous in a number of areas, really, to be able to have that ability. But I think bullying comes in a lot of different guises, from verbal to physical. You've got the cyberbullying, homophobic, racial. I mean, that's just to name but a few. So I think my thoughts are going to be around verbal and the physical bullying. I think particularly that's the common ones that are around the education system. So from school to to colleges and universities. It can also take place in the workplace. So, I mean, in fact, in the workplace, it can be, even more prevalent than it is in schools. I think we need to understand that the culture of bullying is rife, no matter what the colour of your skin is, what nationality you are, what culture you come from, what community you come from. People always find a way of picking on you for some reason or other. So I don't think you should change what you do, change how you look, because that doesn't affect the way the bullies work. So you need to be yourself and be proud of what you are and how you stand up, how you stand out, or not, as the case may be. But try not to allow any potential bullies to alter the way that you do things on a day-to-day. I think that's quite a key thing. For me as well, that if we look at verbal bullying, I always try not to put on my personal face when I'm out of my house, I think. And that's sort of like throwing a tantrum, showing that you're hurt because somebody's tripped you up or they pushed you, and you really shout at them, and you really get really angry. And, in some cases that can be quite alarming, and obviously might encourage people to do that so that they can show their friend, this is what happens if I push you, look at the reaction. So as difficult as it is, always try and show a professional face when you're out. That's being quite calm, playful and happy, but showing that you're very confident. And if you're being bullied, and I'm guessing as well that can be on one-on-one. In a lot of cases it can be where you've got groups of people, so groups of girls, groups of guys, it could be a mixed group, and they'll taunt you, they'll say horrible things to you, and they'll pick on what you're wearing, arguably like your hairstyle. They don't like, the colour of your eyes or your t-shirt or the trainers that you're wearing, and so on and so forth. Try not to draw attention to that. I mean, basically, just listening to what they're saying, try not to show that you're actually affected by it. Don't draw attention to the fact that they don't like your t-shirt. Well, I like my t-shirt, I don't know why you don't like my t-shirt. That's really not how you want to respond. It's almost like, well, I'm not interested. You almost want to have a take it or leave it sort of attitude. I don't even know what you're saying, because I mean, it just doesn't make sense to me, etc. And I think what you're doing then is you're showing that what they're saying isn't affecting you. Even inside, you might go, "Oh, I just really want to hurt them. I want to do something," but you can't show it. You've got to try and stay and have this professional face. I mean, and then I would just back off. I would back away from them and find a way that you could exit. And if you're exiting, I would always make sure that I look behind me in terms of where they are and in relationship to where you are as well. So I would turn and almost walk away, but always knowing where they are, just in case they want to run up behind you or pull you or do something. You've got to figure out where they are. I mean, yes, those words are hurtful, and perhaps, if you really are upset, then you want to go into an area where nobody can hear you. You can go into the toilets and maybe just have a cry or whatever you need to do just to get out your system, but try not to show that in front of them. If the verbal bullying becomes a little bit more, or even escalates into physicality, the toughest thing that you shouldn't do for me is retaliate. I think then you're in a fight, arguably, and holding back and not fighting is courageous. I mean, that shows that you're a strong person. It doesn't show that you're weak because you're not fighting. And at the end of the day, 50% of the time you're going to lose if you have a fight with that person. And if they're in a group, then the chances are that you're fighting more than one person. So again, I would stand my ground. I would look and show that I'm not bothered. But equally, you don't want to be hanging around and being used as a punch bag, all right? Because that's not that right at all. If they do strike you and it does hurt you, for me, I would shout. I would shout out, back off, leave me alone. I said, get away from me. You could put your arms out in front of you. That will engender a lot of noise, bring people towards you and encourage them to back off and leave you alone, because all of a sudden they've got an audience now and they're being perceived as somebody that's actually doing the harm, and they're the aggressor. So that's how I would deal with that. And then again, back off, walk away. If you're able to get away but nobody came to your help, then I'd report that immediately. I think it's important. The notion that you should hide the bully or accept that what they've done is acceptable by not reporting it, I think you're in a bit of a denial there. So as tough as it is, go and report it and say, well, this is what's just happened with me. I was verbally bullied, and when I tried to get away, I was pushed into the ground. I stood up, and I'm reporting the situation, and give them the full facts. For me as well, I think trying not to put yourself in a situation where you are going to be bullied in the first place. I think that's really where you've got to be quite clever, I think. We tend to know that we are going to get bullied. We get some indicators from people that they don't like us. They look at us in a certain way. There's a sort of ganging up sort of motions going on. So you know at some stage that a particular person or group of people might want to target you or put you in an area where they can isolate you and then do the verbal stuff or do the physicality. So I think once you feel that that sort of event is going to happen, you've got to figure out where are you going to be in the school system in relationship to where those people are. If they're part of your class, maybe let them go out first, or you go out first, go and do what you want to do, but try and figure out where they're going to be. Have friends of your own so that you're never isolated. Be in a situation where you always know where they are, where they hang around. And if you keep distance from them, then the chances are that they become very tired of the fact that they're trying to get hold of you or do whatever. They'll almost sort of forget the fact that you're even there. And that for me is one of the key things. I think you owe it to yourself to make sure that you don't put yourself in the fire. And it's not nice. You should be able to walk around everywhere you need to without the threat of having people bothering you or groups of people bothering you. Why can't I just get on with my life and, without people, or worrying about what people are going to do. But, life isn't like that. And like I said, the indicator is that maybe they are going to hurt you, or they are going to tell you bad things about yourself or whatever. But you need, you need to look after yourself and make sure that you don't put yourself in the firing line. And eventually that will peter out because they'll just get tired of the fact that they can't isolate you in one place. Those are skills really that I think you need to learn early on in your life. So the sooner the better. I mean, if you're not getting bullied at this stage, well, that's amazing. That's really good. But try and adopt some of those ideas, because I think as you get older, you go into senior school or go into college or even go to university where it can be really rife. For me, I think if you understand those skill sets in the early part of your life, and you're able to stand up for yourself without putting yourself at risk, and that's the key thing, making sure that you're not the target of people's punching and spitting or you know, bad words or so on and so forth. So I think that will help you for the rest of your life. Anyway, my name is Lowe, as I said earlier, and it's been a pleasure talking to you, and I hope you find what I've said useful. Thank you.